I'm really not okay with any of this. I mean, buying a Christmas present for a serial killer?
No, you see, serial killers murder repeatedly for sexual thrill. Billy Lenz was a spree killer. Dude just fucking lost it.
Jason is my son, and today is his birthday. You can have dinner with us. My brother makes good head cheese. Candyman, I get cheese. Candyman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Welcome to the final podcast, the last podcast you will ever listen to. We are the creators of the Spooky Pit, the innovators of the Passion Bump, and we are taking you down the darkest rabbit holes of all things horror.
We review horror movies, then fuck them with comedy. We are your final bros, Bryan Hopwillow-Grossa and Shane Butthole Exploration Smith. And we are joined by our Scream Queen, Jen, the producer.
That's a good one.
It's all right. So we are in the second week now of December, and we are talking about Black Christmas 2006, the remake of the 1974 version. And this is the first time on the podcast that we are going with a remake directly after the original.
Yeah.
We haven't done this before.
Back to back.
And this is a special request by me. I know Jen was completely against this, but I talked my way into doing it.
The original is honestly like a huge classic. We all kind of praised it last week. So no shocker there. And this will be cool because we're doing this directly after. We can do some comparisons, see how this kind of like correlates to the original. Are there some references? Are there some cool takes? I even mentioned in the last episode that one of the actresses in that movie, the girl that plays Phil, is actually Mrs. Mack in this one.
Fun fact too, which I didn't know until I looked at the IMDb credit. Her name is Mrs. Mack, like in the middle as parentheses, but her first name in the movie is Barb.
Her name
That's
is
so funny.
Barbara McHenry.
Yeah.
The majority of the characters, I'm pretty sure all of them are named after people who sing famous Christmas songs. Like, what's our final girl's name?
Kelly Presley.
Kelly Presley. Yeah, she was named after Elvis Presley, who had a lot of like gospel and Christmas music out. So that's kind of like a little nuance for everyone in the film, but there's not too much else like fun facts and stuff about this film.
Well,
it's more of like people arguing about like directing and like other things and some people disowning the film.
This movie doesn't need fun facts because it's just an enjoyable movie to watch.
Speak for yourself.
That's a question mark there. What I will say is it's just a good old slasher. I mean, there's nothing deep about it. Like, there's nothing like clever about it. There's nothing like nuanced or something that we have to really talk into. This is just a good old fashioned, like, I want to watch a movie where people are getting killed during the holidays. This is like the movie for you. Like,
exactly.
This really isn't that clever of a film. I will say that even though this isn't like a great film, in my opinion, I know Shane liked this movie, they did at least go off some source material, because I think we talked last week about in the original how the director, what was his name, Clark?
Yes.
He gave Billy kind of his own backstory, which if you remember any of the phone calls from the original, Billy would talk about Agnes and how the director said, you can imagine that Billy was abusive toward Agnes and that Billy's parents were abusive towards him, and how like it's to assume that he kept Agnes locked in the basement and that he killed his parents and that it was just a vicious cycle with Billy. That was what Clark said, just to give Billy some basic backstory. And I feel like this film really is a reference back to a lot of that, which is kind of nice. So now that I like got that, I don't hate it quite as much, but it's still not like, I'll still watch the original over this one.
This movie maybe gives too much backstory.
Yeah.
Some questionable decisions. Let's just do it. Let's jump into the Spooky Pit so we can just talk about this.
A mental patient escapes from a sanitarium on Christmas Eve to return to his childhood home, now a sorority. This film was released in 2006, directed by Glenn Morgan. It's a horror.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's not a thriller, just a good old-fashioned horror movie.
It's very upfront.
Starring Casey Cassidy as Kelly Presley, Michelle Trachtenberg as Melissa, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Heather Fitzgerald, Lacey Chabert as Dana, Kristen Cloak as Lee Colvin, Andrea Martin as Barbara, Mrs. Mack McHenry.
And one thing we have done multiple times on this podcast is say, now this is just a hot cast.
Yes.
This is a hot cast.
This is a hot cast. And we know that the original was mainly, it's a sorority, so there's going to be a lot of women. And these are a lot of women, because they're kind of like in our age group, too, that we grew up with. We're like, wow, these girls were always kind of hot.
Yeah, that's accurate. They're also all good actresses, except in this movie.
Like, we've seen movies and TV shows with all of these actresses separately, and including like even like Mrs. Mack like played Phyllis, which she did a very good job in. And not to knock her, but I liked the original house mother. I don't love Phyllis as much. I don't feel like she's hiding whiskey around the house.
But that's the thing,
I miss
yeah.
that.
Like Mary Elizabeth Winstead is one of my favorite actresses, and she's kind of nothing in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is still like early in her career, right? So she was doing like Sky High around this time, and things of that nature.
I forgot about that.
I think that's a Disney movie.
It is.
It is.
It's a good movie. I enjoyed it as a kid. I would still watch it today.
No wonder she looks so familiar. I forgot about that movie.
Oh,
she's in one of my favorite movies, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's a great
She was
movie.
in the 3rd season of Fargo.
That is true.
She's in The Thing, not the original Thing from 1982, the prequel, The Thing, which I consider underrated. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a decent movie.
She's in FD3. You consider that underrated?
Final Destination 3? Sadly, I think it's the second worst of the whole series.
It is.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people like knock that one, but I don't remember that one whatsoever.
It's better than the 4th one, but that's because the 4th one is a trash pile.
And speaking of FD3, isn't there a character in this movie?
The girl, I can't think of her name, the actress's name, but the girl who plays Lauren is in FD3. I think she's the one who burns up in the tanning bed.
And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is obviously
That's the main character of that one.
That's a little correlation. But before we get into the synopsis and spoiler portion, which we're going to do in about maybe anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds. I know last week, Jen went into like the title of Black Christmas and why that was the choice, inevitably, that they went with that option.
I want to throw one other thing in there real quick. Kristen Cloak, who plays Claire's sister in this movie, was Mrs. Luton in Final Destination 1, a movie we've reviewed already.
Oh, yeah, the teacher. That's right. That's right. Because Christmas is like a dual holiday. There's like more of like the secular commercial aspect to it. And then there's like the more religious side of it. But in any case, people think of like this uplifting, happy holiday. So a name like Black Christmas, it makes you like kind of flip Christmas on its head. It's like dark and like, I'm not gonna say like evil, but in a way, it's almost got like this ominous presence about it. And that's kind of like the settling feeling you expect from this movie with a title like Black Christmas. So without further ado, let's explore Black Christmas.
So we open at a sorority house, kind of similar to how we opened in the original. And someone is pouring wine into a glass and drinking it. Now, I forgot this girl's name. She's not Claire, right, in this one? Or is she Claire in this one still?
Oh, no, she's Claire.
Okay.
Yeah.
She is Claire. So just like in the original, this girl, Claire, is in her room. Here's a rustling in her closet, the same as the original. So the thing that they do different is in the original, Claire's downstairs at the party. She has a fight with Barb, then goes upstairs. This one, you start right in the bedroom with Claire.
And they stick with the whole closet thing.
They do it a little different, though.
Is there a rustling in the closet?
Yeah, that's why she goes in there.
Because I can tell you what, there's somebody with blonde hair under her bed.
Exactly. Because she goes to check the closet, but nothing is there. So they don't give you the exact jump. Instead, like you said.
Cat. Do they have a cat in this one?
I don't believe so.
There is no cat in this one.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Maybe because I watched them back to back.
Probably, yeah. This one does not have a Claude, sadly.
Oh, well, that's a missed opportunity.
With this one, though, like Bryan said, someone is under the bed. They come from under the bed. She gets the vintage plastic bag over her head. But this one, it's 2006 now. We're doing things a little different. She gets stabbed in the head.
Oh, yeah. And is it in the eye?
Yeah, right in the eye.
And it was with a pen because she was like writing like a card to her sister Lee. And they use this pen. She gets right through the eye, right through the head. Opening titles, Black Christmas.
So there's a thing here where we should mention. The 2000s had a thing for slasher movies where they didn't care about character or plot. All they went for was brutal kills.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally the only thing 2000s slashers cared about.
Yeah, this is kind of a gory movie. They definitely throw around the blood a little bit. It's not like... I even think 2010s might have even gotten a little bit worse with it.
You think so?
Hit or miss.
Was there a Final Destination made in the 2000s?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Most of them.
Most of them?
Destination 1, Destination 2, Destination 3, and I think it's just the first three.
And then the 4 and 5 were in the 2010s.
Yeah, I think so.
They were destination happy.
I mean, the first two were like amazing movies.
Because you also got to think, like, a lot of the wrong turns were in the 2000s as well.
Yeah,
and
true.
Wrong Turn 1 and 2, I consider good movies. And then from there, it's literally just all about brutal kills and someone getting the bags.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
I know who would be going in the con if we fucking did that movie. Fucking bad guy.
Oh my God. Yeah, without a doubt. We're eventually going to get to some of the Wrong Turn series because those would be fun to talk about.
Eventually.
So this is another thing the movie does very different. We are going straight to an insane asylum. Whereas the first movie kind of left it a mystery of who the killer was. This one, it's Billy.
they're not hiding the fact that it's Billy. There may be a little bit of a twist for people at some point.
Yes.
But you're given the killer right away. And you're given his backstory. Whether it's too much, we will debate that later. But it's Billy. He's your killer. And we're at the Clark Sanitarium.
A guy is giving food to like the inmates there when a guy dressed up as Santa Claus comes in. And this is where we learn some of the story of Billy.
Little bit of the backstory. Is from the guard, right?
Yes, it is.
Billy Lenz, he killed his family on Christmas. A lot of people even thought he was dead. But the guard's even saying that he's like, you want to go inside there and check it out? And Santa is like, no, thank you. He also tells him, that they padlock his door as this makes him feel at home, where he spent so much time in the attic at his actual house. And he actually tries to escape from this sanitarium every year on Christmas. And now the scene's going to kind of transition, right, to Kelly and Kyle making out in a car. She tells him like all her friends are waiting for her. After she leaves him, he makes a call. And you see like a girl like also on the phone, like in her own house. She's taking this call and she literally throws the phone down in anger. So the assumption is that these two were just calling each other.
Yes. And one thing I want to point out that he says in that car, he says, I'm your family now, to the girl he was talking to. I'm bringing that up because that is going to be a very big catchphrase of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point out.
So now we cut to like all the sorority girls and they're discussing who gets to open Billy's gift. So since Bryan alluded to the story of Billy, how he killed his family in this house is where it happened, Billy is known in this movie. It's not like they're getting creepy calls from a guy named Billy. Billy is like someone they kind of celebrate and they give a Christmas gift to every year to kind of like ward him off, I guess.
It's really weird. And I feel like in real life, people don't do this. It's more like a fun fact about the place you live in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very, very odd tradition and not something I feel like they would have celebrated in a sorority.
No, I don't think so. I don't think the sorority in Florida State is celebrating fucking Ted Bundy every year. Like, cut back now to the insane asylum where Billy leaves a gift for the security guard.
Because I guess where they have to give him food, there's this little like opening in the door. He's able to give them a little gift.
Well, yeah, I assume it's there so he could put his food tray back out once he's done. So inside the box is a note that says, I'll be home for Christmas. And for some reason, the guard opens the latch and he doesn't see Billy. And now, like, he goes in the room.
Please explain to me. Right out of the gate. No backup is called.
Yeah.
He goes into the room. He leaves the door open. He not only does he go into the actual room, he examines the cell because he doesn't see Billy.
And you think the first place he would look is under the bed, but he doesn't. So Billy comes out from under the bed and stabs him repeatedly in the neck with a candy cane.
Yeah.
Sharpest candy cane of all time.
And you could tell he's been sharpening this thing for quite a while.
But they do show him that he was sucking that thing into a very fine point.
Yeah, I don't know why that like guard decided to just go in there by himself. Like if this guy A has tried to escape every year and B is as dangerous as they say, you'd think that like if you were going to open his cell, and I don't get this in a lot of movies, if they're opening the cell of someone who's very dangerous, why there's not like more than one person.
I am going to say though, like, I think what the guard was thinking was, he's like, man, I just recently saw Shawshank Redemption. And he sees that hole kind of in the side. So it's like, Billy definitely had a spoon that he's been digging his way through.
Like, did he rip the toilet out of the wall?
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought too. Also, I got to ask, is it canon that a candy cane can kill someone if it's that sharp?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think you could actually puncture skin with that.
Kind of like an ice pick.
The one thing we do see in this scene, and it's my biggest gripe of a movie I do enjoy watching, is Billy is yellow.
He's not only yellow, he's super yellow. Like think Yellow Bastard in Sin City Yellow. This dude has got the sick jaundice.
He really does. Can you just turn the light on? I can't see. Okay, so yeah, Billy's yellow.
Honey Dijon mustard yellow or like a French's
No, he's
yellow.
Fucking French's yellow mustard yellow.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you know, when you turn yellow from like a disease or something and your skin just has like this like orangey yellow tone to it.
Yeah, jaundice.
Yeah.
He's got jaundice.
Pretty much. They said that he looks like his dad though. Like he looks like his dad and he's yellow. And his parents hated each other, which makes absolutely no sense.
We will get into that, because that's a very interesting story.
I can't talk enough about how yellow this guy is. It pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah, but we don't have to talk about
It
that now.
pisses you off?
So the girls try to get Claire downstairs when we're back at the sorority house, but she ain't answering because she's kind of dead. So then they try to get this other girl, Megan, to come downstairs, but she says, fuck Christmas. And then she starts watching porn.
Yeah, she's watching sex tapes.
But if you pay attention, it's her.
No, I know.
But
I know that you know.
Oh. Hey, I thought you thought I was being serious. That's what I couldn't tell.
No, I'm telling them.
Oh, okay. I thought that was to me. I'm very sorry.
That's so funny.
So the camera's in a pan to show the attic door. There's a thumping, right?
Yes.
Claire is in a rocking chair by the window with a bag over her head. Only difference here, the bag is black and it was clear in the first one.
I like the clear bag better.
You can see her face and you can see the open mouth. That's why I like it better.
It just looks better. I feel like the clear bag looks better all around. It gives you more of a shock factor.
Yeah, agreed.
But this is a similarity. This is a take from the first one. Claire is by the window. Megan hears the creaking coming from the attic, and she hears it's really a snow globe, but it's like a jingle. She opens the attic door, and she notices that it's a snow globe. She thinks someone's playing a prank on her. She does notice Claire by the window in the chair, but she does not notice a dark figure in the bag hiding and gets behind her.
So this is reminiscent of the Mrs. Mac death, but changed a little. So there's no hook and pulley system. She gets plastic bagged again, and now we hit full 2000s mode where she gets her eyes ripped out through the bag, and you see the eye connections right on this one. It's just over the top bloody.
They do a lot of eye stuff in this movie. If you're a guy that doesn't like eye stuff or drops in your eye, or you don't like,
which is me.
Sometimes I just fucking hate it when my eye gets pulled out. Anything like that, you're not going to want to watch this movie because there's a lot of eye shit.
They weren't really a fan of Ghost Ship. They didn't really want to go up the hook and pull thing.
It's a real shame. Great movie. Now we cut back to the asylum, lot cutting back and forth in this movie. And you see Santa walking through, and then Billy instantly kills him and wears the Santa suit. And my whole thing here, I know for a movie I like, I'm going to question a lot of things. How is he just going to wear this Santa suit that's clearly probably covered in blood now?
It's strange that this is definitely a movie flaw, but the suit's not covered in blood.
No, not at all.
It's such a movie flaw. I don't know how he could have done that, but we have this gross thing of the guy who's wearing the Santa suit flirting with a nurse.
I forgot about that.
That was so fucking pervy. Oh my god.
Gross. And she seemed low-key into it, but he was disgusting.
So are we passion bumping that since the nurse was technically into it?
Sure.
Why not?
We're not passion bumping anything else.
You're absolutely
Passion bump. Passion bump. Passion bump.
Shane is obviously our resident, relationship guru. Jen obviously has established herself as our resident historian. I'm obviously I'm the resident perv. I don't match this guy. This is a next level perv.
You're also our math guy. Another thing I want to question is when he walks out of the insane asylum with the Christmas bag, he throws it into the dumpster, and there's clearly a fucking leg sticking out of it.
Yeah, he did a bad job. Can we talk about how big this bag is he's walking out of the hospital with, too?
I mean, the Santa guy was huge, so he's got to fit in a big bag.
Big freaking bag.
Yeah, he really tosses him out, too.
So we cut back now to the sorority, and the girls are discussing the ethics of giving Billy a gift, which I actually do appreciate about this movie, because,
yeah, I mean,
really, why are they doing this?
I mean, it is a 15-year Delta Alpha Kappa tradition. Delta Alpha Kappa, Delta Alpha Kappa.
Who?
I'm dead.
Heather's the one that's got to give the gift to Billy, but she's not okay with buying a gift for a serial killer. That's not cool with her, but it is a tradition. Melissa mentions, he's not a serial killer. He's a spree killer. He just lost it. Again, to the semantics of serial killer. Heather doesn't really care about that stuff. She doesn't like a pagan gift sacrifice to ward off evil spirits. Lauren, now, she goes on the whole idea about the paganism of the decorations for Christmas, in terms of the lights and the trees and all these things, blah, blah, blah. And then she tries to make the dumbest comparison I think anybody has made in a horror movie. She compares serial killer Billy to Santa Claus.
Accurate.
In what facet? She goes, oh, because he kind of goes into your house. Yeah, they both go into your house, right? If you're going to consider him robbing, because he doesn't rob. The only thing he'd rob is the cookies you give him. And if anything, he gives you stuff, consumption and getting goods from Santa Claus versus getting murdered by Billy.
Yeah, but you consider that him giving you a swift death.
Who wants a swift death when they can get, toy car or Botox? Because Santa could do a lot of cool things.
Yeah, I mean, he is magic.
That's true.
But now the girls also go into the lore of Billy a little. We learn about his yellow skin condition. So it is a skin condition. We learned that the mom had hated the dad. She had a baby named Billy, who she also hated. Now, this is all done in a flashback, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, she hates, obviously, her husband. So her husband birthed her a boy, and she's going to hate the boy, too. That's just the way it is.
Yes. It cuts to like 5 years later in the scene, and Billy's like just by the tree. The mom says, "You ain't getting any gifts for Christmas. The Russians shot down Santa's plane."
Holy smokes. When she said this, I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So intense.
Yeah.
Like, he's a child.
Yeah, I know. Like, this kid just wants a fucking gift.
So the dad, though, being the bro that he is, tells Billy to go upstairs and he'll find a gift. And Billy goes upstairs, and I think he finds a telescope.
Yeah. It says love Santa because Santa is not Billy.
It's true. I guess that
It's
is
weird
true,
because now Billy's getting the gift from Santa. but
Yeah,
you know where I was going.
we're
with that.
going full circle now.
He gets a telescope the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like a little red ribbon on it. It's a nice telescope, and he's going to put that by the window.
So Billy starts hearing his parents having this big fight. He crawls. He does a crawl by.
This guy has got like these suction hands and legs, and you'll see it all in the film. He is one with the walls.
Literally.
So then Billy sees the mom bag the dad's head and repeatedly beat him in the head with a hammer.
Oh, yeah. I think there's another guy in there too, right? Or no?
Is the guy in there for the scene?
I think so. I think they argue because the father's like, who the hell is this piece of shit?
Okay.
Okay. I didn't know that he was in that scene. I thought the mom had killed her husband and then the guy comes to help with the body.
Yeah, but it would make sense too if the guy was there already. So that's good. I just didn't catch on to that. Now, before we keep going, my question is, how was this couple ever married to begin with?
I don't know. And I'm happy you bring that up because I got to pose that question to our resident relationship guru, Shane Smith. You want to explain?
So this one's not really fair for me to do because I'm good at telling if a relationship is going to last. Whereas in this one, I know it didn't because I watched the man get beat in the head with a hammer.
Okay, then I'm going to come back to you.
Okay.
I have another potential relationship I got to ask. Not only is it viable, is it ethical?
Okay, I can't wait. Now we see the mom and the new boyfriend start to bury the dad under the house. And Billy sees this whole thing happen. And the mom sees that Billy is watching this. So she chases him into the attic and then she locks him in the attic. So this is now his new home.
This is his home. I think he relishes in this attic too. I get that kind of feeling.
No,
with this
he's
film.
like really like in his zone in this attic.
And it sucks because his dad was like they were
They were
good
bros.
friendship.
Yeah, they were
and-
bros.
And he's seen his dad dead, and it's super sad. By the way, his dad is so funny. Is before he goes out, the boyfriend comes, right? And the boyfriend has a hammer. He's like, "Do you think I'm afraid of this piece of shit that's wielding a hammer?"
Well, I didn't think he thought that they were going to kill him.
No, he definitely did it.
Who the hell? Yeah.
I mean, if anything, she was just going to leave.
So now, though, we cut back to the present day and the phone rings, but no one answers right away.
the phone rings, and a nod to the original, Shane.
I know.
There's a couple of hellos. They're just not.
They're not. Yeah.
There are hellos though.
This is something interesting that they did. They really had to find a way to beat around that you get caller ID now. So they actually start calling, and like, we'll see this. They'll call from everyone who dies. Billy or Agnes or whoever
Uses their cell phone.
will use their cell phone to call because, you know, we have caller ID now. Like, you can't just call from inside the house.
It's actually good you mentioned that because I should mention then now that this first call comes from Claire's cell phone.
Yeah.
They put it on speaker because no one's speaking. And that's when you start to hear the mad ramblings of Billy.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna call it out now. I'm not feeling this, Billy. I'm not feeling the voice, man. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I think it's dry. I'm not into it.
The problem is, it's one of those things where the original did it so well, you're never going to top what the original did with that.
Maybe
voice.
if they twisted this guy 180 degrees and made him do it upside down, it would have been better. I
Yeah.
just wasn't feeling it. It was too dry. It was more 2000.
I know from experience, it's not easy to twist someone upside down to have them talk into a mic. So I'm glad they didn't attempt to do it.
But this
in
is what he
one.
says, because the other guy was like super dirty and sexual. This guy's just like, you want a cookie? You're my cookie, and I can gobble you up. So like, he's talking about like eating them. Do you think that's a sexual thing there?
No, it's a reference to something that we're going to see later on in the movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it was okay.
But then he does mention Agnes. He's like, Billy, what have you done? Where's Agnes? She's my family now.
And now I'm thinking, are we going to get more context to Agnes in this one?
I think we are.
Maybe a little.
Just a little bit. So the girls see that the call ID was Claire's, like we said. So Heather is about to go leave now. Like she's had enough of this. But a new girl shows up and she gives Heather her gift, which is a glass unicorn.
And this is obviously is
a nod to the original.
Except that no one gives that as a gift. It's just like on Barb's night table.
I don't know who this actress is, but I was reading that she's like a supermodel around the time that this was being filmed, and they make her look like the complete
the
opposite.
ugly one.
Yeah, they make her like the ugly duckling in the film, and she's like a supermodel.
Oh, the girl that plays Eve?
Yeah.
Is a supermodel?
At the time, yeah.
Wow, because they make her look like really greasy.
Mm-hmm.
And like poor, and like she makes her own clothing.
What are we watching? Totally Awesome?
Hell yeah. So I do like something they do here, though. After she gives her the glass unicorn, they do a flashback to 1982, and the mom is having sex with her new boyfriend on the stairs, but he passes out.
Every time.
Yeah.
Dude, how could that even work? Because like, can you be hard and like, unless you're on like Viagra or something, can you be hard and sleeping at the same time? Like, I don't get that. I feel like he'd be totally flaccid. He'd be a flaccid shithead.
He might have been flaccid. She might have just been vibrating on him.
He might have just had whiskey dick also. Like,
Yeah.
like he's like slowly like just falling asleep because their sex is absolutely garbage. And then she's just like, damn it, again. Like she's trying to, but she's got nothing.
He's snoring too. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty
He
bad.
gets knocked out. It's so funny.
this is a passionless scene. This is passionless.
No, don't
sex.
worry. We're going into the passion right now. So the mom hears a little rumbling in the attic, and she works her way into the attic. And who's up in the attic, Bri?
Young Billy. Emphasis on the young.
Now, we have a decision to make.
No,
A moral dilemma, if you will.
Yes.
absolutely not.
Now, this is probably one of the most reprehensible things we would ever do if we were to passion bump this. Right?
I think this is the hottest thing since Dogtooth.
No, absolutely not.
Really? Why not?
That's rape. That's statutory rape. He's a minor.
Is he though? We don't really know
Yes.
his age.
At this point, I don't know if we know his age.
He's definitely not. He was not.
Yeah, he is young.
He's a minor. You cannot passion bump that. Statutory rape.
That's fair. That is fair. Okay, so this is where we're drawing the line officially.
All right. Well, we won't do it, but I'm going to explain that I think this is.
You can passion bump the initial sex before that video became revenge porn if you want.
Nah, I never even wanted to touch that.
No, that's nothing. No. Oh, if we're not going to do this, can I actually talk about how hot it is? I can't talk about it at all.
No, well, we
You
have
can-
to describe what happens.
You can say how hot the mom was trying to be.
It was more about like young Billy just fucking crushing ass.
His mom's ass. Let's get into it, because the mom kind of like disrobes and straddles Billy on the rocking chair.
I will say that this is a hot lead up point because the way she disrobes is the mom kind of hot?
No, not even close.
I was kind of into it.
Well, you're the only one.
I'll take it. I mean,
if you're into the mom, you can take, because I'm sure Billy could have done without that.
So they instantly cut to 9 months later, where Agnes is born. So Billy is now both brother and father of Agnes.
that is correct.
And this is why I say I kind of like this little thing, because as soon as Agnes is born and they show this, they cut back to the girl Eve, that they're kind of trying to make you think that Eve is Agnes grown up. That's what I think they were going for with that scene.
I didn't catch that, but I like you bringing that up. I did not catch that.
I didn't catch that either.
Because the last shot is baby Agnes, and it literally cuts just to Eve's face. And she's like the weird outcast. And then that's it. She actually walks outside and you don't see her again.
I didn't even take it that she had walked outside. I thought that she had been taken.
Well, yeah. She
like-
kind of just disappears.
She gives a gift, right?
Yeah.
And then she disappears.
She disappears. So I took it as they were trying to make you think that she was Agnes.
And according to Mrs. Mack, Eve's mom was actually a sorority legacy.
Which is why she's in this sorority, because none of the girls like her.
They don't like her.
To be fair, none of the girls like any of the other girls in the sorority.
Yeah, this is nothing like the first one where like some of them are friends. Like they actually hate each other and look so displeased to be spending Christmas together.
It's true. So while all the girls are now trying to give gifts to each other, the phone rings again, and this time the call is coming from Megan's cell phone, who is the other girl who has been killed. And once again, I don't have it written down, but Bryan, if you have it, what are Billy rambling about this time?
He actually imitates an earlier conversation the girls were having. I know that. It was about like Claire going back home to her house to bury this family hatchet. Apparently she's got like these family issues. And Melissa says like, that was not Megan. And I'm like, obviously not.
Yeah. But the girls do then go upstairs to check on Megan. But who is in there? Kyle. Is his name Kyle?
It is.
Thank God I got it right.
He comes out and he's like, I just wanted to spend some time with you, Kelly. And he snuck up through Megan's window because that was the only window that was open.
So I'm right there picturing that they have one of those things from Black Christmas 74, which is just there to get upstairs into a window.
When did they,
up a pipe?
but like, you remember there was like this, maybe like this 80s or 90s thing where like dudes would like kind of like, like I've never seen Saved by the Bell where like Zach Morris has to crawl in to get to the girls' room. Like, stop. This doesn't exist anymore.
Or like in Scream where Billy climbs in Neve Campbell's window, like right at the beginning of Scream.
Like, I don't know. Like it's weird. Like this guy's doing this in like 2006. I feel like that died like 10 years prior to this movie. Like I remember watching that shit and like Clarissa Explains It All, but not this.
He's so desperate.
I was not expecting that kind of drop.
I had to drop. I was working to get that in for years.
Oh my God. You've been holding that comment.
I'm so happy
For
it
years.
came out.
Yeah, this guy's desperate.
Very much so.
And he knows that they don't like him, which is weird because now they're like, where's Eve? And he was the last person in the room.
You mean where's Megan?
Megan, yeah.
Yeah,
Where's
all
Megan?
good. All good.
I don't remember any of their names.
Kyle actually continues telling the story of Billy because we need more detail.
I don't know why it led to him to do that. They're all up there like, why the fuck are you in our house? And then he just starts randomly talking about the house. He was like, I hated this house. Back to the story. It's
It's very forced. It's very forced.
It is forced, but it is prompted. I will give that. It's stupid, but Lauren mentions how like it's the Lauren line that pisses me off because Lauren's like, well, our whole like lives now revolve around fucking Billy, and he's like, oh, Billy, you're talking about. He's like, well, I've lived on this street my whole entire life, so if anybody's gonna talk about Billy, it's gonna be me. Here we go.
So hit the flashback. Billy, now you see him unwrapping the telescope in the attic. Billy's in the attic.
Telescope from before.
I guess he just got another telescope. I don't know. Agnes is downstairs unwrapping a doll. And that's where the mom says, you're so adorable, I could gobble you up.
Yes.
Which is the line that Billy has been saying on the phone. So that is why he's been saying that line, which also makes me wonder, how the fuck did Billy hear her say that from the attic?
Well, because in the next scene, he's already like kind of built his system through the walls and he's like down there with them.
That's a great explanation. So that makes some sense then.
Because like this is the scene where Billy interferes with Christmas, right?
Yeah, it is. Because the mom gets a phone call. She just hears Billy say, she's my family now. So the mom panics, runs back to Agnes, and Billy is just stabbing Agnes in the eye.
Oh, big time. And I think the mother steps on an eyeball.
She does. She does step on an eyeball.
He only got one eye though, right?
Yeah, because then the stepdad runs in, or whatever the fuck you want to call this guy, and Billy just instantly stabs him through an eye. So we're just seeing eye deaths left and right. That is all this movie has.
Oh, yeah. And then I believe Billy strangles his mother with the lights, drags her body to the kitchen, and then beats her repeatedly with a rolling pin.
And then he does the only logical thing to do in this situation, where he takes the cookie cutters and carves out cookies out of her back skin and bakes them. And then in the most disgusting scene of the entire movie.
And this is my favorite scene of the movie because this is pretty sick.
Yeah, he dips the skin cookies into the milk. It's done very well because when it pulls, like you think the skin would pull when he bites into it.
They put bacon in the cookies to do that.
The police walk in on this whole scene too. So they're actually like watching him as he's eating his mom in these like cookies, these sugar cookies. And they have a certain chew to them. Like
it's disgusting. It's so disgusting. It's good though. It's like a well done scene. Like it is unsettling and gross. And it's like, you don't want to look at it.
Surely the only good horror part of this movie is Billy's backstory.
It's done well. Like I said, if he wasn't yellow, because that was not needed, and it makes it so comical when you see him on screen, because it takes you out of that moment, you know? Like if there's any tension when Billy's attacking you, you're like, this dude's fucking yellow. I'm getting attacked by Pikachu.
It's because the illness has no correlation
to anything.
It doesn't correlate to how he kills or why he kills. It's just that, oh, by the way, he's got a condition. It wouldn't even correlate to like his insanity or his madness. It doesn't at all.
The only thing it correlates to, and it wasn't even needed, is the mom rejects him because he's yellow.
And looks like the dad.
But it's so, it's in going back to them, like, why would they even be married in the first place? Because it doesn't seem like they ever loved each other.
Nope.
No, the mother is
Convenience.
the mother is an evil bitch, in all honesty. She's just in need of a good screw, and she definitely got one.
Or what are you, fucking Judy from Sleepaway Camp?
Need of a screw.
That's instantly what I thought of. They, declare that Billy was insane, clearly. And that's when he is sent to the asylum, where he spent the rest of his days up until this night, where obviously we have seen him escape now. And then we learned that Agnes was sent to an orphanage and nothing was heard from her again.
She did lose her right eye. Claire's sister now shows up randomly, making noise, scaring everybody. They don't know who's downstairs, but it's Claire's sister, Lee. In Megan's room now, Kelly is telling Kyle that Megan's been acting weird. Her car's outside, but she's gone, vanished. Nobody knows where she is. Now they get a call from her number. And as she walks by her laptop, the screensaver goes blank, so she doesn't really see the sex tape yet. Claire's sister mentions downstairs that she was actually also a member of this sorority, but she quit early, so she does have some ties to this place. But Mrs. Mack, who was around that same time, actually said that she doesn't even remember her.
Correct. This is basically their way of replacing Mr. Harrison from the first one. Instead of Claire's dad, is now Claire's sister, who is looking.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to take this route in this movie because they never go to the police station and report anything. So I guess it kind of just makes more sense to keep the whole cast as females for this movie.
I don't hate that substitution.
Me either.
It's not the worst one they could have made. Like, they could have given her like her dad or her brother or something that was a little dumber, but I don't know. I feel like they didn't do that great, but they could have done worse.
Yeah, they didn't ruin it.
Yeah, because I mean, they made her kind of like a sorority sister, but she also said that she didn't stay. So she probably pledged, hated it, and immediately left.
Which kind of stays similar with the dad from the original not liking the sorority. You know what I mean? So like, he just didn't like it because more of the fundamentalist. She's like, it wasn't for me. Like, I didn't like it. Also, I kind of like that they got her because, to be fair, she's one of the best actresses in the movie.
Agreed.
In terms of just like the acting in the movie.
I was going to say the same. Like, there's not a lot of standout here, and she was the standout if I had to like actually pick one.
Yeah. To be fair, one of the worst acting jobs in this whole movie is the boyfriend, Kyle.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah.
Like, he's bad.
Did we already talk about the porn yet?
We're getting to that in
Cool.
a second.
But Mrs. Mack, she's very suspicious of Claire's sister. She has a different last name, and she doesn't talk about the sorority. But the reason why she doesn't talk about the sorority is because she said that she hated it there. That's why she left. Lee does mention that she doesn't know her sister that well, but does call out that Billy still receives gifts because she sees the gift that's under the tree and she knows like this is a tradition. So right there, you should know that she does have some history here.
But what's interesting here is that she finds a gift from Billy.
Yes.
And they have never received a gift from Billy. Mrs. Mack even says, well, that's new. Inside of this gift, though, is the telescope with the doll in it.
Yeah, isn't it the telescope box?
Yeah, and the doll is in the box.
Correct.
I should have clarified with box. You are correct. So it's both the gift that Billy got and that Agnes got. And now that's when we cut to
Kelly and Kyle.
Yes. And the power goes back up. And that's when Kelly sees the screen on the computer of the sex tape of Megan and Kyle. Kelly is not happy.
Nope.
I mean, who would be? Your boyfriend's revenge porn was just uploaded.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a dick throughout the whole movie anyway, though. Like, you don't really feel sympathy for him. You felt more sympathy for the girl who was watching it. That was like, what the hell? I didn't even know that he filmed it.
Yeah, so we are 3 movies in a row with a complete dick of a boyfriend.
He's actually called these girls bitches like 17 times in this movie.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's not a good guy. I mean,
yeah, I don't think she's spending that week with him afterwards.
I would say... well, yeah, she definitely isn't with this movie goes. So then Heather finds a box that was hidden in a wall. I forgot why she went this way.
Yeah, no, because she was told to like look for like the newspapers or stuff for Eve.
And they said Eve was obsessed with the serial killer of this house.
Yes.
Which is also alluding to her possibly being Agnes.
And you know that like those newspapers, they were from December 26th, 1991.
The ones that were wrapped with the doll.
Yes.
Yeah, so they go and search her room, and somehow they like search it enough that they're able to open a section of the wall.
Yeah, and they find like all these newspaper clippings of Billy and Agnes.
And they find a cell phone.
Then the one girl, Lauren, who has been drinking heavily like Barb the whole movie, she just starts puking uncontrollably.
She is Barb. Like her character is
she's
Barb.
Except nowhere near as good as Barb.
You put a bunch of Barbs in the room and say, be friends. And they're like, you're a fucking idiot.
Also, then we see Kyle and Kelly just arguing. Kyle is thrown out because he's been a complete shitbag the entire
And he's
time.
like, fuck all you bitches. And Mrs. Mack like kind of like pushes him out.
I don't understand why he's taking out his rage on the other girls.
Yeah.
Like, they had nothing to do with this.
Now, the only thing I could say is, well, he does mention that they're spoiled bitches earlier when he tells the story.
Yeah.
Because they act like they know so much about the Billy thing. And he's like, no, you don't.
He's a townie.
He's a townie.
I'm assuming Mrs. Mack is Italian too.
Probably.
Then we go back to the bathroom and
Mel
Lauren
is telling Lauren she needs to go take a shower, brings her into the shower. And that's when you start to see an eye watching from...
so
Yeah.
creepy. I hated that. It was a good, like, scary scene.
It was.
Really? I thought this scene fucking blew.
I mean,
I liked
just
this one.
Just like the vision of the eye, like, coming out and watching you, it is like a scary thought. But like, I don't know. I feel like it was...
Yeah, I thought this was really horrible, to be honest.
It's scary, the idea of it. Like, that's why I don't like it. But the thing that you see the eye out of is too big. Like, you would see it.
Oh, yeah. Well, number one, I actually don't even know if that's actually physically possible. Depending on what it's actually coming through. I think there's too much cement or tile there or whatever goes under tile to actually happen. It's totally noticeable. And I guess if you may think it's creepy, I think it looks stupid. Like, I just don't like the idea of him looking up through the tile.
Yeah, the poster was a little better because he like knocks a screw or a tack or something out of the poster.
That's another thing though. Like, yeah, it's better, but that's a pin.
Yeah, it's more plausible.
But can you see through a pinhole?
Not really. But so
Well, that's why this hole's bigger. He could definitely see through this hole.
The idea of this, I think the only plausible way to say that he was able to do this, the house is super old and we're to assume that they haven't done much work on the house.
Yeah.
Since that time. So I don't really think like there'd be too much foundation. Like, and we're also to assume that when Billy lived here, he could crawl through the entire house.
Yeah, this guy knows the landscape well because he's lived here. So he knows. He knows more than just the attic. I also want to point out that there's two things happening. Lauren has the sharpest feet of all time because she was hitting those tiles with her own feet, but Billy was also poking them out too.
Yeah.
Both of them happening. Then I think Lauren hops in the shower, right, Shane?
She does.
You want to talk about her naked body?
No, she's showering.
Okay.
Billy's watching her. And then we actually cut to Dana, who has to go outside to fix something. I don't remember what.
The fuse box. They have to find the fuse box.
Yes. She's going to fix the fuse box. Something under the porch catches her eye.
Why would the fuse box be like under the house? Because it's weird. It's like under, like, I don't know what this is. Like a
well, no, but that's the thing. I think the fuse box is supposed to just be outside. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning it. She sees something though under the porch. That's why she goes under the porch.
Yeah, I think the fuse box is just outside because that's where the majority of fuse boxes I feel back
They're in
the
a basement,
No,
aren't they?
They specifically say that it's under the house. They say it like 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they even go under the house.
Well, when she looks under the porch, she then gets pulled under and she gets stabbed with like a mini rake. She gets stabbed like in the back of the head.
Is that a trowel?
It's a trowel.
Okay.
I call it mini rake. The one thing with this scene, and this is my big please.
Please explain to me.
The police have arrested Billy back in the day. The dead mom and the dead other, they know the dad was missing, obviously, the original dad. How come when Dana gets killed under this porch, she finds the skull of the dad?
Yeah.
Wait, the police found the dad?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, how did they never find the dad? Like, how?
Honestly, I don't think anyone was paying attention when the dad went missing. Like, I don't know what he did for work or anything. They could have been known in the neighborhood that the mom and dad like hated each other. So maybe she just told everybody he left.
I guess. So then they would never look for the dad.
Yeah, I don't think so.
His skull is clearly like right under the porch.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's very noticeable.
They didn't try that hard. He had a super shallow grave.
It's true. So yeah, Dana is now killed. She's also a character. I think this is the first time we've mentioned her because for the majority of this movie, all she did was sit on the couch and look super hot.
Yeah, she like makes like bitchy comments here and there, but like, she's not like she actually does stick up for Kelly in the one scene where his douchebag Kyle kind of like does some shit. He is a dick. So now it's gonna cut to Lee. She notices the attic And she starts climbing up the attic. Like, this is the first time I think in one of these movies that people just like notice the attic without anything happening. She's like, oh, look, there's an attic. Let me check it. Totally plausible. Someone actually does it without like a cat meowing or anything like that. She actually sees the attic and goes up there. Actually, no, that's not true. She hears the snow globe and goes up there. Now it cuts back to Kelly. She gets a call on her cell from Dana now. She picks up. Of course, this is not Dana because Dana's dead. Like at the original, someone dies. They get a call. He's like, help me. She's my family now.
So they go outside after this call and they look for Dana, but all they find is like blood everywhere. And this is one of those things where I wanted to mention in the trailer of this movie, it's completely different. Like a lot of the scenes they filmed in the trailer for this. I was telling Jen before we recorded, I think in the trailer, there's like a lawnmower that's like wrapped, like going and pulling in lights that Dana is like attached to. And that is nowhere to be found in this movie. And there's just a few little like scenes they film where like Agnes or like Billy is hiding on top of like fucking Mission Impossible style on top of a ceiling that's just not in this movie. It's actually crazy. It's like if you watch the trailer, it's a different movie than what you actually got.
Gotcha.
I hate that. I hate when there are things in the trailer that you're waiting for and they just don't happen.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's false advertisement, essentially.
It really is.
But yeah, so after they see all the blood, Heather finds a decapitated Eve in Eve's car because they see that Eve has never left. They see Eve's car there. So she goes and opens the door and Eve's head just falls out.
Plops out.
So the movie is maybe a halfway over, maybe a little more. And you right now know Eve is not Agnes because Eve is dead. So there goes that mystery.
It's kind of like I know what you did last summer, and the fact that they kill Max early, they kill the only suspicious character right out of the gate.
So then you just automatically assume, okay, it is like that guy, and now you're like, okay, it is just Billy, and Eve was not Agnes.
Yeah.
After that, they all run inside, and they go for the phone, and now the phone's dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because Billy's done making calls.
I believe Kelly calls 911 on her cell phone, and she starts getting really, really pissed off. Miss Max says, Billy is dead. She like actually cannot believe that it's him killing, some of the girls. Yeah,
they did say that in the beginning of the movie, how people in the town think Billy's dead.
Basically, the police are not going to be able to come, right? Because of the storm, essentially.
2 hours, there's down trees, everything is ice. They give them like a 2-hour window.
Yeah, so this is where the group has their big decision. Some people want to stay together in the house to stay firm and, safe. But Mrs. Mack and Heather want to get the fuck out of there and go to the police station. And they can't decide which to do.
This is another thing because they know that Lauren's like super drunk and they don't want to leave their friends.
Yeah.
So it's just like
But at this point, fucking pick her up, throw her over your shoulder and carry her the hell out of there. Yeah. But they don't. They split up. So Heather and Mrs. Mack go outside. They get into, I'm assuming this is Mrs. Mack's car. They're about to drive away. And obviously it's been snowing and there's snow everywhere. And one thing we haven't mentioned is like Heather's supposed to be this like high scale girl, rich upper class. She has no idea what an ice scraper is for your car window.
She actually goes like, what the hell is that?
I had the biggest eye roll as soon as I was like, are you fucking joking?
Well, even Mrs. Mack was on your side because Mrs. Mack gets out of the car and she's like, fucking bitch.
And this is a good ode to the original Mrs. Mack who did the like under the breath mumblings. Yeah. That was a good ode to the OG.
And now this is a very interesting scene because as Mrs. Mack is cleaning off this window, Heather explodes.
You're right.
I don't know, like...
You get the shot from like outside where Mrs. Mack is, and she just looks at the car windshield and then she now cleaned off, and blood just splatters from inside the car. She sees a splatter, and you're right. It looks like an explosion.
I don't know how they knew to go in the car.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's kind of like our thing when we reviewed The Burning a long time ago, where there's a scene where Cropsey is waiting in a canoe. And it's just like, how did he know they were going to come to that exact location? So then Mrs. Mack sees this blood explosion, backs up, hits the wall, Icicle kills her. Yeah. So Billy has 4 or 5 kills. Icicle has 1.
That's true. And this Icicle was shown earlier when Dana was outside smoking a cigarette. It was a big icicle. I guess they wanted to make sure that was known because it would come into play later. Not that it really matters, but of course in a horror movie where this guy is slashing up, you think that he's going to be killing up everybody, but Icicle gets 1 kill here, and it has nothing to do with Billy whatsoever. It just happens to be that way.
An accurate way to die.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying like it's unbelievable.
I believe this is where Claire's sister Lee goes outside and just slips on a huge pile of blood again. Comically just falls on this huge pile of blood. And Melissa hears a scream. So she goes outside to check on what had happened.
And I think like she's like, go get your coat. She doesn't want to leave Lauren though.
So this is what happens because 2 different things happen at once. Claire's sister Lee goes outside and she slips on a huge pile of blood. It then cuts to Melissa hearing a scream. So she goes to check on that, but she gets a bag put over her head.
Yeah, didn't she go to Lauren's room?
Yes, that's where
removes
she
the
was
blanket.
headed.
Lauren's just sleeping. Upstairs, Melissa hears screaming and yells, Kelly. She's yelling Kelly at the top of her lungs. And then from behind, the killer puts a bag around her head, pulls her back, but she does fight him off. She's got a little fight in her. She runs into a room, but she cannot open the window. Isn't it amazing how all these horror movies I know they're going quick, so it's just like they just want to open it quick, but like you probably should like flip the lock and then you can open it.
It's also probably covered in ice.
Yeah, that's possible. It could be like frosted over. The killer enters with the unicorn and she grabs a hockey stick and she hits him with it. But he gets back up from being knocked down by the hockey stick. And now she unlocks the window and opens it. Oh, he's on that second time.
Yeah, you get it on the second attempt. But since he's been attacked by a hockey stick, he throws an ice skate and it slices off her face because it's pretty quick.
Yeah, her face right off.
Pretty crazy. So then it cuts back to Lauren, who is still laying in bed. When she starts, I guess this is the best way to put it. She starts getting felt up.
She does. She definitely starts getting felt up. And I guess you can consider this rape.
It's rapey if it's not. Yeah, it's assault.
It's at least assault.
It's at minimum assault.
By the way, assault is a very interesting thing. Sorry, I think assault is technically, if I threaten Shane and touch him, it's assault.
Yeah.
I was assaulted earlier when you were trying to sit upside down on the microphone.
I never threatened you though.
I'll post that.
I felt threatened.
I'll post that. Don't worry.
There we go.
We have watched so many movies where people are assaulting like women in their sleep, just feeling them up. And I'm like,
it was kind of a common thing in a lot of these horror movies. Like,
dang, you guys are deep sleepers. You're almost as bad as Bryan.
Love it. Wish Damien was here to confirm.
I'm sure he'll text us about it later.
Incredible.
What the hell is happening?
She starts to wake up, right, and feel this. So she goes to like grab the unicorn and she like stabs, but no one is there now. So whoever was in bed with her is really quick.
Extremely quick.
But the person then comes and grabs the unicorn and stabs her in the face. She was essentially Barb because she even died like Barb.
Just like Barb.
She was Barb in everything other than name.
Now, Kelly and Lee, they're outside. They see a shadow outside the house. And I think Lee grabs like a poker of some sort.
Yeah.
They run into Lauren's room and Kelly is asking Lauren, where's Melissa? Obviously, we know that she just died. Lee tells her to shut up because she's making a lot of noise, obviously. She calls Melissa's cell, which is directly above her.
Yeah.
Some would say in the walls.
Either that or the walls are super thin.
Yeah. This was kind of weird. I'm assuming thin wall, but...
The door breaks open, and Kyle is actually the one that breaks it open, but he's fighting with Lee because I guess they think that it's the killer.
Yeah.
And pushes her onto the bed. This right into Lauren's hand, which exposes both of her missing eyes and lifeless body.
Yeah.
And Lee threatens Kyle, but Kelly says, it's not him. It's not him. She's kind of defending Kyle here, even though it could honestly still be him. In any case, Lee says, like, how do you know it's not him? And she's like, takes her phone, calls Melissa again, and then the ringtone is coming from that area in the wall.
Because they'll also learn right now that it's not him because Billy also now calls Kelly and starts asking where Agnes is. Then Kyle, Lee, and Kelly, they're like, all right, let's get ready to fight. We're going in the attic.
Yeah.
And Kyle opens the attic door and then gets sucked up through the door and murdered.
Plucked and sucked right into the attic.
Yep. All right.
I'm thinking of Founding Brothers is what it reminded me of. No, Gooch.
Oh. Okay. No one would get the reference. Sadly.
I'm not saying it, but it doesn't remind me of.
That's perfect. If people knew that, that'd be perfect. They actually like run up into the attic to fight.
Yeah. Yep.
And as soon as they get up there, they see all the dead bodies like arranged on like Christmas ornaments and like I think Eve's head's the star of the tree.
It is. It's at the very top, like where the angel or the star would be.
I wonder why they chose her.
I guess because she was the only one who was decapitated.
That's true. They had to go back for the head. They didn't grab it initially.
That's a good point, too. This is one of those scenes where it's not there for logic. It's there to look cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think they're about to fight, but Claire's sister falls through the floor and like falls a few floors down.
She definitely falls
It's
down.
actually kind of amazing she doesn't just die from this fall. And then Agnes starts eating eyeballs.
Yeah, you learn here Agnes has an eye fetish.
You lose an eye, you eat an eye. That's what I always say.
And like she rips out like Kyle's eyes, and it's pretty gross. She like legitimately just like gulps them down, like sucks those things down.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I believe that doesn't she like she lights the candle, like you mentioned, like they're all ornaments of the tree, which is pretty crazy. And then at this point, isn't the candles knocked down and they start catching on fire?
The whole building is on fire now.
The killer is now actually stabbed in the neck by Kelly because Kelly's got that unicorn horn.
Yeah. She's fighting Agnes, right? They're not fighting Billy. They're actually fighting Agnes because you now have seen her face and it is Agnes.
Yeah. And then she stabs her in the eye. And then
it's a fake eye.
It's a fake eye.
Yeah.
Honestly, Agnes to me just looks like she's wearing a bad Michael Myers mask. Like her face looks so much like rubber.
Really does. It's so poofy and rubber.
Yeah, it's awful. I also now have a question for you guys because I'm just curious what you think. Who is doing more of the killing, Billy or Agnes?
In this movie, it looks like it's Agnes.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Agnes and Billy, according to what they say in this movie, both escaped around the same time because I think Agnes was in like a mental institution. Like she got really like screwed up. She probably escaped before Billy because Billy just escaped that night.
Well, they say Agnes went to an orphanage, I believe.
They do, but later when they talk about Billy and Agnes, I don't know if it's at the hospital or anything, they mentioned that there were 2 people not accounted for. Like she had escaped the mental facility that she was in. So she probably started at an orphanage. But I'm positive she escaped before Billy because we don't really see her escaping. And Billy obviously escaped that night. So I think Agnes got there first.
So now that we got like this differential from the beginning, because now you got that dual killers. Obviously, the real Agnes in the first Black Christmas is dead. So you have in the beginning scene when they kill Claire, it's Agnes that's under the bed.
Billy's not there yet.
Still in the institution, right? So it's just Agnes that's under the...
Yeah, Agnes is definitely the person who gets the first kill of the movie. Agnes definitely killed Claire to open the movie.
Are we sure that Billy's not there yet?
Well, it's because they cut to Billy escaping later on. If you're supposed to take it that like...
That's a flashback.
Every time they cut back and forth, it's in real time what's happening. They don't establish if the asylum is like...
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I would take it that they're happening simultaneously, that Billy's not there, because it is a guy in a Santa suit and it is nighttime at the asylum when he escapes.
The reason why I thought so is because you do hear a rustling in the closet.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't know. That was probably just for the cinematography, but yeah, it didn't make sense.
In any case, it was Agnes that definitely got that kill.
Yeah. But anyway, now after the fake eye is pulled out, that's when Billy shows up to help Agnes fight Kelly. I forgot what exactly Agnes says. Doesn't she say like my brother or
Kelly's like your brother's not here or something like that, and she says daddy's here.
But my daddy's here.
That's it.
And this is like fucking. I'm trying to think of the movie. Is it Dance the Dead, Shane, where the zombies catapult out of the ground?
Yes, it is.
He catapults into the attic. Like, where do you have to be? In the walls, right? He catapults from the inside the interior of the walls. Like this is some like The Boy shit where he just like pops up into the attic and shit. Like he lives in the walls.
They have this whole like fight here where they fall in between the walls.
Yeah.
And like Lee is actually trying to break through the wall to get Kelly out of the wall.
Yeah, because Kelly's stuck in the wall right now. She fell, but she never fell all the way.
Correct. So which one fell all the way down, Billy or Agnes?
Billy?
I think it was Billy because Billy's doing his climb because Billy's a hell of a climber. We've established this already. This is all going on. They're getting closer, but Lee is actually able to pull Kelly out as a flaming tree falls down and lands on Billy.
Yeah.
And this is where the movie should have ended.
Yeah, well, now Kelly's going to take some paint thinner, right? She throws it on the fire, which emblazons it. They escape through their house, and obviously the assumption is the whole place is on fire, obviously. But you kind of go to the hospital scene now, and a body is brought into the morgue, and you have this ME, medical examiner.
Thanks, dude.
And, I mean, he doesn't want to work because it's Christmas Eve, and he feels like he shouldn't be working. And he goes to check on one of the bags because he hears like a noise. And Billy pops out of the bag.
None of this should have took place. They should have just left it with Kelly and Lee leaving the house as it burned down with Agnes and Billy burning in the house.
Yeah,
all
literally.
This last tacked on 8 minutes is so unnecessary. But this medical examiner goes to Billy because the movie is still going on and he gets sawed.
Yeah, he's got like this like power saw that he picks up.
It's a bone saw.
A bone saw, yeah, that makes sense because and he just like used the bone saw and kills him with it. And then there's like a little blood that squirts into the guy because the guy was like mixing a drink because he was just like having a good time.
If there's one thing I know about coroners from any of these like movies, they all drink alcohol on the job.
Yeah, I think it comes with the territory.
I guess so.
So Lee is in the hospital with Kelly. They discuss the present that actually Claire was giving to Lee, right? Doesn't Lee open it and it's a watch?
Yeah, and she cries like because it says family forever, and obviously Claire is deceased. So this is another thing that happens in horror movies, especially during this time in the 90s, that I fucking hate. The empty hospital.
The empty hospital.
Because
the hospitals are loaded with people.
That's the thing. Like I've been to a hospital at night for like to visit family. And there's fucking people everywhere.
I know. Such like a dumb horror trope because it's not real at all.
No, it's like if anyone has been in a hospital at night, there's always a night watch at the desk. There's nurses going in and out because you're at a hospital. Like sick people like need treatment throughout the night.
They need constant care.
Yeah. But yeah, this is an empty hospital like any horror movie. So Claire is just walking around and she's walking around because Kelly had to go for x-rays.
Yeah. But she sees like the door closed to Kelly's room.
And she's confused because no one should be there because Kelly's getting x-rays. So she goes in and she sees someone laying in Kelly's bed.
I mean, it looks like Kelly. She's got the blonde hair.
Exactly. A little thicker than Kelly, but, you know, whatever. So she goes to pull the sheet and it's Agnes.
Agnes.
So both Billy and Agnes live through the falling flame tree. Okay.
This movie should have ended like 10 minutes ago.
I'm with you.
But Agnes grabs her throat, twists her neck, and it snaps.
So she is deceased. Now it's only Kelly left. She is our final girl.
Yes, she is.
Kelly gets up. This one I'm kind of confused why this starts happening. She's like walking and looks up at the light and like blood starts to...
It's seeping through like the light area.
Why is there blood up there?
Are we to assume that... Who's up there, Billy, or is it Agnes that's up there?
It's Agnes because Agnes is the one that drops down and fights.
Yeah, so I was assuming like Agnes is like bleeding.
I don't know.
I kind of checked out, so I couldn't tell you. I was like, why is this movie still going?
Yeah, I have no idea. So we'll just ignore it. We'll pretend it didn't happen. Agnes jumps down, fights Kelly. They have their scuffle, but Kelly, she got the
defibrillators.
Yes.
Yeah.
The paddles.
She's getting them ready. You have to charge them up. So she's getting them charged up.
So she's just trying to fend off Agnes until these are charged up. And as soon as they're charged up, she attaches both to Agnes's face and fries her.
Fries the fuck out of it. And she had a hot face and she messed it up. It's a shame because she was a beautiful girl.
Yeah, that was a nice Michael Myers mask that she burned off.
You mean female Shatner?
Yeah, so now she grabs the walking stick and just breaks open the window.
Yeah, I call it the hospital walker, but you could go with the hospital stick because those people, they wear those bags attached. I don't know what those things are officially called. So me and Shane had a really tenuous and hot debate. Hospital stick, hospital walker, metal rod.
Yeah, that debate lasted all of like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If even that. I
mean. We could go to 5 seconds. She gets out. Billy comes there.
Define the word come. We got to be very specific with the language we're using for our audience. We don't want to get too dirty and perverse.
Shows up.
Okay.
So Billy shows up and he trips her. So she kind of beats him with her crutch or the hospital walker or the stick. It is a crutch in this scene,
It looks like a crutch.
Sure. I'm just so checked out at this part of the movie. Like, I was like, why is there still movie left? I don't understand what's going on.
So moral of the story is they have their little scuffle. She throws Billy off a balcony. He gets impaled by a tree. The movie ends.
Okay, let's talk about this. Is that tree impaling Billy?
100%.
Is it a fake tree?
Are you serious? You're going yes? I feel like it would just fall right. It's a tree.
No, but it has like the sharp top. That's what he goes through.
The tree would support him because that tree doesn't move.
It's a big tree. It's a really big tree.
Yeah, it seems like a big tree, but also seems like a fake tree. So maybe fake trees are propped up more so they don't move as much. But yeah,
I'm not feeling that. I don't think those branches are strong enough to hold them in place like that. I feel like he'd fall even.
I mean, I don't think we would be able to reenact that even with a dummy. I think you're right, and it would fall over. But for the movie's sake, he's dead now, and we're finally done.
Okay. In any case, it doesn't really matter what I say because the tree doesn't move. He's just impaled on it.
I'm saying strong tree.
I'm saying fake tree, and it's stronger than it should be.
It's a really strong fake oak.
Yeah.
It's a California redwood.
There you go. Some strong trees to name a couple.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to be 100% honest now in our end reviews here. The movie sucks, but I love it. It's trash, but it's fun trash. Like, it's one of those movies I could say I would just like sit down and throw on if I just feel like watching a couple of good kills, like not having to pay attention to story and plot and just want to, watch something while I'm like doing something else. It's got that kind of charm to it. It's not like this thought-provoking masterpiece like the original. It's just, you could get a good group of friends, have a few beers, and just watch it during the Christmas season and just have a good time laughing at it. And this is where, like, I agree with Sauce McGavin with his Wicker Man review, where he gave it a 10 out of 10. I think this...
Don't you dare give it a 10.
No, I'm not doing that. Don't worry. I think this is one of those movies for me. I'm not insane giving it a 10 out of 10, but I think in entertainment value alone and just to enjoy watching, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
We talked about this. You got to balance out entertainment value with how the movie's produced, right? You have to make that balance. I totally agree. Like, an entertainment value totally would put it over the top. I have movies that are like that as well that we'll review at some point. The movie is somewhat entertaining. I agree. I could probably watch this again, a couple of beers with the boys. And it's definitely like, it's not like a boring movie per se, but there's nothing that's going to like really raise the meter for me, in my opinion. Like, there's no character development. A lot of horror movies don't have character development, but this has zero. Characters are not interesting. The acting is pretty bad. I'm not going to say that there's like huge gaping plot holes, because there's not really a plot to begin with besides the backstory you get from Billy. That's like the pinnacle thing. I did like how they brought kind of like Agnes into the fold. And it'd be unfair for me to compare this directly to the original because it's just nowhere in the ballpark. So I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to judge it on its own merit. I think it's got a lot of flaws. Didn't love it. And I think like a lot of the characters in their interactions did not really facilitate any plot or any kind of resolution. The last 15 minutes to me, it just felt like in its own world between the hospital and them getting out of the house. I just feel like I was like watching almost like the start of another movie. This is a 3 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I was trying to decide if it was a 4, but then I like thought about the entertainment value and I'm like, I didn't really enjoy it that much. Like, the only way I would watch it is if someone else hadn't seen it, wanted to watch it, I would, of course, grab a drink and I would rip it a new one, like just shoot the shit with them. But I didn't really get that much entertainment out of this. I didn't enjoy the kid. There wasn't like a funny character that I enjoyed. The ending was like 15 minutes too long.
I agree.
And it didn't make sense whatsoever. It could have ended in so many different ways. I mean, it had like 3 separate endings. Shane, didn't you say like when it aired other places, there were other endings?
Yeah, the UK version has a completely different ending. Where like Billy doesn't survive the house fire. He dies in that. And then the movie ends with the defib on Agnes.
That would be great. But that would even like be better. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy this whatsoever, entertainment value or anything. I found like these actors and actresses are bad actors in other movies and other TV shows. So I just kind of found like the bad acting, like the over the top, like they were obviously taking direction, but I found that kind of irritating. I wasn't really interested or intrigued. I found myself like trying to do other things because I just wasn't interested in the movie. I got really bored of it. So I'm going to give it a 3. I'm probably never going to watch this again unless someone really wants to, and I have to have a drink.
Another one of my problems I want to bring up too is I feel like they never really poured too much into any specific character. They were kind of just like all like they're sorority girls. So the only character I really like resonated with a little bit was actually Lee, who is the sister of Claire, who dies in the beginning. I think they fucked up the final girl. I don't think it should have been Kelly.
It should have been Lee.
It should have been Lee. I think Kelly should have got her neck snapped and Lee should have been the one to survive at the end. But like I said, they never really develop anybody. So it's just like, let's end this thing.
The whole movie, I think, was more for the purpose of Billy's backstory.
Yeah. They went heavy on the backstory of Billy, a little bit of Agnes. And that was like, to me, the only like really interesting part of the movie was that. And the whole parent thing, because I guess they're trying to give you like a little, even though they changed a lot of things up from the original in that backstory respect, they try to like do a different way here, but still keep, Billy and bring kind of like a focus with Agnes, because Agnes obviously is dead in the original. They bring her to life here. I thought that was kind of interesting, but like, that's it for me.
So I have to ask, who from this unfortunate viewing are we adding to our Necronomicon? We have a lot of options, not very good ones, but they're there. I have an idea, but
I haven't.
I have two, but I definitely have the one that I think is stronger than the other. So
I'm kind of open. I'm not really set on my idea, but you guys go.
yeah, so this movie didn't have like horrible kills. It just had similar kills. You know what I mean? A lot of people died of the same shit. It was not like any unique kills like per character.
That's why I have mine. I think it's maybe we're thinking the same thing if you're thinking unique.
Yeah, maybe. So I have two, but I'm not, obviously we can only recommend one. So I'm going to go with Kyle because not only does he get his eyes ripped out, they're still connected when they're ripped out, which I'll be honest with you, I haven't really seen that. You always see it's one or the other, but they're actually like almost connected.
They were.
And they're eaten. So I'm going to go with Kyle as my guy.
Okay. So I had two. One was Kyle, so I won't repeat that. And my other was Melissa's character, Michelle Trachtenberg's character, with the ice skate to the face.
Is that how she died?
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Because that was so unique.
Yeah.
Like,
and it sliced it clean off. Yeah, that was.
But I'm fine with Kyle if
what
that's
was
who we
her
go.
name?
Wasn't it Melissa?
It's Melissa.
I was gonna go with Eve.
She dies off screen, right?
Yeah.
She dies off screen, but you see her head.
Yeah, and she becomes the star of our tree.
That is true.
She does.
She does become the star of the tree.
But I'm not very picky about this. If you want to go with Kyle, we can. I think he's a shitty at he's definitely like one of my least favorite characters. I think he contributed nothing, but
He did tell the story.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah, like that's the interesting thing. Like his backstory was number one, he called everybody spoiled brats. He's like, I know more about it because I lived on the block my whole life. And we were terrified of this place.
I like Melissa as an ad better.
You want to do Melissa?
I'm fine with Melissa.
So we will do Melissa.
Are you sure that's her name?
It is.
I'm like positive,
It is.
but I'll check. Just, you always double check things here.
Yeah, mostly because like I didn't care enough to even remember any of their names. I didn't even try.
I remember all their names in this movie, and I don't know what that says about me because it's the first time I remembered almost everyone's name.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Let's see if I was right. Yeah, it's Melissa.
All right.
Melissa with 2 L's or 2 S's?
Let's see.
I'm gonna go one.
I didn't look that deep.
I'm going one.
It is 1 L, 2 S's.
That's how you're supposed to spell it. Shane, want to give any last words to our beloved Melissa?
I'm not pouring my truly out for this one.
Melissa, you were one of the better acting characters in this movie because everyone else was very poor around you. It's a real shame, though, that you weren't as good at hockey as our killer because you used your hockey stick, but he used his ice skate. And for that, you lost your face. And that's perfect because now we can use your face skin on the cover of our Necronomicon. So thank you.
All right, that's it. Melissa, you have been added to our Book of the Dead.
And that is Black Christmas 2006. And boy, oh boy, do we have a treat for you next week.
Oh boy.
Because we're sticking with our Christmas theme and we are going to the 2019 Black Christmas remake of a remake.
I bet you didn't see that coming.
No one did. Whose idea was this?
Yours.
Because I'm fucking crazy. And we had to do all 3 Black Christmases in a row.
I mean, we might as well, right?
Yeah, look at it this way. We'll never have to talk about them again.
I hope so.
This one is going to hit a little different.
I heard it's not a true remake and I've never seen it. So it's new territory for me to explore. And to be honest, the initial reviews obviously were really bad for this, and I think all 3 of us here are fair judges.
100%.
So we're going to go in excluding everything that we've heard with a fresh mind and give you exactly what our thoughts are.
Have any of us seen this Black Christmas?
No.
Okay, so we're all going in with fresh eyes.
100%. And I can't wait.
And I'm all about going in with a like unbiased, unclouded view beforehand. No matter what we heard, good movie, bad movie, whatever it is, I'm all about going with I've never heard anything and I'm seeing this for the first time. This is my fresh take on the movie.
Exactly.
I'm going to look at it like it's not a remake because I don't think it's supposed to be. So I'm just going to go in and think of it as a different movie.
I think you should because it is not a remake.
All right. With that said, we are the final podcast signing off, and we will see you next week at Carrie Uhl's Worst Career Decision. So if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at The Final Pod Ever. Follow us on Instagram at The Final Podcast. And if you haven't, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple. It really, really helps Apple, push out our content and recommend us to other people to listen to.
I wrote down a little bit about fucking milk.